Hello DevOps people, I'm back. Outside the weather's terrible, so what better can we do than sit inside and watch someone working, in this case me. I'm happy to have you here, and maybe the music is a bit too loud, at least in my headphones. Okay, I think that's better. Yeah, before I get into things, let me start by encouraging you to participate in the chat. I'm always happy to get feedback and learn a bit more about you. If there's any question, if I'm doing strange things, just let me know and I'll be happy to respond. For example, if the music is too loud or you don't like it, let me know as well, and I'll see what I can do about it. Alright, so this is the second time after my long summer break I'm doing a live stream, and as I've explained last time, I've decided to get a bit more structure into my live stream in terms of topics. Before, I simply picked what was on my plate on that particular day, but oftentimes that meant that I was working on work that was already started, so you joined me midway, which isn't the best thing in terms of context and stuff. Most of the times my work was on private company repository, so you couldn't even watch or get into the repository and catch up. And I've decided to approach things differently now. I've actually started a new open source project, which I've called Jupyter. It has a public GitHub repository at gvis/Jupyter, and it's going to be some kind of management application for infrastructure. So what I'd like to do is manage the many servers my company is running. Later maybe manage DigitalOcean droplets or AWS EC2 instances and things like that. And I'll see where things take me, but having something that lets you list your infrastructure components and see where they are based, which instances in which data center and things like that. That's what I'd like to do. It's a thing I've been thinking about for probably more than a decade now, and I think Full Stack Live is the right place to start working on this. So if you like, follow the repository, set a watch or something, star it if you like what I'm doing, and join me as I go on a journey of which I don't actually know where it will take me, but I guess it'll be fun. Okay, last time was a bit boring because most of the time I was simply waiting for bundle installs to finish or Ruby installations to finish. Now I have a proper development setup. I also have a Docker installed already, so my Ruby on Rails application has the services it is going to need, mainly Postgres. I've also installed Redis because I'll be needing that as well. It has an app container where my web application is running in. We should even be able to see what exactly is running there on port 3000. That's inside the container, so I need to get the port. Did I implement the Docker port rake task? I did not. Well then, let's simply do a docker ps. And somewhere here should be a Rails application. Jupyter app on port 32772. The application itself is still the default that came out of the suspenders command. I'm actually not sure what the start page will look like, but we'll see in a second. Okay, it's the Rails default page, Rails 521. Yeah, that's a nice current version. Okay, so in my repository I've created a number of issues. This will basically be my to-do list, and I've tried to give everything a bit of structure by tagging each issue with labels. So at the start, I guess most of the things will be enhancements, and some will affect security, some will affect the test suite that I'm going to need, and one will be about deploying the application when it's time to do so. I've already done one test integration, which is the Robocop integration. However, I didn't include it in the test suite, so let me get that done first. If you've been on the stream before, you'll notice something different. So far I have been working in Vim, and on Sunday I discovered Visual Studio Code. Slayer Darth, hey, good to have you back, and good to be back. I'm doing fine. Had a lot of stuff happening after my summer vacation, and everything kept me from resuming the stream, and I'm very happy that I'm back, and I'm happy to have you back. How are you doing? So I've discovered Visual Studio Code. Actually, I watched a YouTube video. I discovered the YouTube channel of how's it called? Anyway, it was a Ruby channel, and after watching a few tutorials and stuff, I discovered they had an episode about editors, and I'm always interested in what other people use, and the guy actually was using Visual Studio Code and was recommending a few extensions, and I decided to give it a try. And I have to say, it's pretty great. It's been a long time since I've said that about a Microsoft product, but I think you could just describe it as a mix of the usability of Sublime Text combined with the extensibility of Atom, and so far I've been liking it. So let's see. I wanted to extend the test suite, so that's in the rake file. They load the tasks, RSpec, and the default task so far runs bundle audit. That is supposed to keep running, and then I'll be running Robocop, and I'll probably need to define this task. So run Ruby linter task Robocop do shell bundle exec rubocop period. So with a simple rake call, I should first run bundle audit and then the rubocop task. You've been building a REST API in Sinatra. Sinatra is a great little framework for building REST APIs. It has just the exact stuff that you need. Yep, here we go. But rubocop isn't included in my gem file, so let's see. We have development. We need it in development and test. Gem rubocop. I'm still pressing the escape key. Interesting. Muscle memory. And you're using Vim. Okay. Yeah, I still think that Vim is a great editor, and I'll keep using it. Especially if I'm working via SSH or mobile shell. And you got Docker working. Yeah, and I actually got Kubernetes working, both locally on my workstation here, and we are actually running Kubernetes in production. My new website, for example, fullstacksensei.com, runs on our Kubernetes cluster. Okay. Actually, I didn't call bundle install, but seems to be running. Sinatra with active record. That's interesting. Okay. I didn't know that's possible. And you get migrations and seeders working. That's a great thing. These migrations and the seeds. I've been enjoying using seeds as well. You need some kind of development data, and active record seeds mechanism is quite nice. And Thoughtbot has a nice tool that allows copying data between a production and development database as well. So if your application runs on Heroku, you can automatically run a Postgres backup there, then download the backup and then import it into your local development instance simply by issuing something like production, or no, it's a development restore production, and it'll take a look at the Git remotes, what you mean with production, and development is quite obvious, of course, and then it'll connect with the Heroku command line interface. The gem is called Parity by Thoughtbot. So, getting distracted already, but I'm happy to have a vibrant chat. Okay, the rubocop integration is working, so let's commit this, integrate rubocop into test suite, and I'll also push it to the repository. Okay, let's take a look at our next tasks. So I have two more checks that I'd like to integrate, that I usually integrate into Rails projects. First, it's the Rails best practices gem, and then Brakeman for security checks. It'll help you avoid things like cross-site scripting and these things. So let's go into Rails best practices. What I'll normally do is take the issue number and create a branch for that. So I'll create a new branch called 9 Rails best practices RBP. By using the issue number, I don't have to have very expressive branch names, because I can always go into GitHub and read the title and the description of the issue. That way I don't have to try and explain things in the branch name. Rails best practices, let's take a look. Rails best practices gem. Yep. I don't think that's the latest commit 8 days ago. Okay. Let's take a look at the changelog. Is this the official thing? Looks like it. Here's the website. Yep, that's right. So, Rails best practices is here as well, and needs to be here. Let's do a bundle install, and to invoke it, we'll simply call Rails best practices period. So we'll need a new rake task. Check for Rails best practices RBP do that'll be the next task in here. Oopsie daisy. Yeah. Am I rebranding the company? You mean into Full Stack Sensei? No, that's simply because I'd like to get a bit of personal branding here and have things a bit centralized. Before, I had the Twitch stream, and I used the GitHub repository as a sort of homepage, but not so much. Also, I really enjoyed launching our other static websites on our new Kubernetes cluster, and I simply was yearning to launch another one. And so I thought, well, how about making a website that will host the live stream, that allows me to write articles about DevOps topics and SRE topics, that can be accompanied by its own Twitter account and things like that. So it's not that scattered all around the web, and that's basically the the goal here, to have a consistent branding and a few hubs, so to say, where my information lives. Okay, best practices is okay. Oh, I found one warning: production RB remove trailing white space. Or why ever there is one in production RB 26. Let's see. Let's configure environments, production RB, line 26. Interesting. Yeah, it's basically getting it more consistent. Before, I've used my personal Twitter account, Jeevis, for all sorts of things, commentary, DevOps stuff, things I'm reading, and now I'll be able to focus my topics on the Full Stack Sensei account on basically tech topics. And I think that makes it easier for people to follow an account if it's not all over the place. Sometimes it's interesting to see what people think about politics or how many kids they have, even though you've followed them for their DevOps tweets and conference reportings and things like that. But the downside of that is that you get a lot of noise to your signal, and I'll just try and separate things a bit to give you people out there a bit better signal to noise ratio. Okay, Rails best practices is okay. That's not hard to do because there is no application code. But anyway, see, I'm still in Vim here. Integrate Rails best practices. Resolves number 4. No, it's 9. That's issue number 9. Am I suggesting there's a correlation between the number of offspring of their political allegiance? There might be, but I'm not in the faintest qualified to comment on that. I don't have a social sciences degree, so I'll answer that with no comment. I'll stick to my tech topics here. Okay, let's get on with things. So that one's closed. So let's get to Brakeman. Let's go directly to the GitHub repository. So we'll add the Brakeman gem into the development and testing section again. Can close this one. Let's go to the gem file. Brakeman will go right under here. And we don't add a version here for the testing things because we'd always like to have the latest checks here. Now I think that's all, right? I'll just call it with Brakeman in the root directory. Okay. Or I could even run it in the Docker instance. Oh no, that's just its own Docker container as a packaging format. Okay, no, I'll stick to the traditional setup where we have it in the gem file and then simply add it to rake. Check for security weaknesses. Task Brakeman. And we'll add that behind here. Why do I always hit the period? Brakeman. I leave the gem audit at the front. Let's also do another branch. QI episode where they looked at indicators of voting intentions. Interesting. I didn't. I haven't watched QI that much, but yeah, there are definitely indicators for any social behavior, I guess. But of course, that's why, for example, there are states in America that lean that way or the other. And cities as well, and boroughs, and it's certainly an interesting topic from a scientific standpoint. Okay, another rake should tell us that we first need to install the gem. Here we go. What do you say, Slayerdath? Should I watch QI again? Is it worth my time? I do love Stephen Fry, but not sure. Seems to be a nice mix of entertainment and no warnings found. That's nice, so we can go ahead and commit this. Integrate break checks. Resolves issue number 8. Lottery winners turn into conservatives. Makes sense, I guess. Suddenly there is something you need to protect from the pleb. And suddenly you're interested in tax benefits and things like that. Yeah, it's easy to see why they might turn less liberal. I would like to see that for myself if I would turn into a more conservative person. So let that lottery win come my way. Okay, Brakeman. Done. InchCI is an interesting thing that I've discovered during last week's stream. It's a CI system that that covers documentation. That's interesting, and Travis CI is my CI system of choice. From experience, I think I rather do this off stream because it just involves a lot of cut and paste of secret data. And that's not very entertaining. I'll get that done for next time. The Kubernetes deployment is a bit early because there is nothing to deploy yet. So I guess today we'll tackle issue number 4 at clearance, which is a authorization gem, also by Thoughtbot. And in my previous Rails projects, I normally used device in combination, for example, with can. I'll still have to try the how's it called? Active. It's not active authorization. Something else. A new gem for authorization. Can't remember it. My memory is getting worse. I've never been good with names, but lately I keep losing them left and right. Anyway, clearance. That'll be a bit more interesting. Let's bundle install, and this time I'll add a version constraint. So we have clearance 1.16. I guess we'll stay with clearance 1 then. They insert a clearance user into our user model. I don't think we have a user model yet. Do I have to create a user model first? Let's see. Nope, no user model here. Just the application record. Let's generate a model. User. I guess it makes sense to use email. And password. It's been a long time since I've created a user model. Rails user model. Don't remember what's convention here and what needs to be actually built. Well, let's take a look at what Michael has to say about that. The user model. Oh yeah, we should use a name. And of course clearance will add password and stuff, so we can simply generate a user's controller with a user's model just with name and email. Yes, please. Okay, RSpec also did its thing and factory bot did its thing. That's nice. I like it. Now we can go ahead and install clearance. Boom! What went wrong? We tried to add something to user and then died. Why did it die? Oh, it can't connect to Postgres, of course. So what we need to do is call docker compose exec app rails generate clearance install. Needs to run inside the Docker container. What? Could not find AST. Did I bundle install? Yes, I did. Yeah, I think I know. I need to run bundle install inside the Docker container as well. And I can't use my alias, so bundle install. Otherwise I'd have to build the container again. And that's another thing that I don't want to impose on you. Just watching a Docker container build. At least the rain seems to have stopped outside, but then again it's getting dark. Here comes AST. That's something I'm still torn. While it's very nice to have everything run in Docker, and not having to run a local Postgres instance and things like that, these situations where you're forced to do things inside the container and then again outside the container, I'm not 100% happy with it. You're applying for a remote support role. That's amazing, and you'll be able to work from home then. That's yeah. Fingers crossed, man. Yeah, being able to work from home has its upsides, and I'm pretty happy at the moment. I have my little office here. I've actually also turned it into my little home studio. I have my MIDI keyboard here and can work with Ableton, and just today I got the confirmation from Amazon that my new studio monitor speakers are on their way, and yeah, my little work cave is improving and improving. Okay, here we go. So now I should be able to run the Rails generate command. Use one of those 8-bit chiptune music libraries. Yeah. On yeah, SID files or tracker. To do what? Oh, I haven't run db migrate yet, so I guess this clearance install will fail as well. I can... For stream music. Oh, I think the Pretzel app that I'm using even has a chiptune section. Let me see. Yes, it has. Here we go. Okay, so it did create an initializer, a new controller. But that doesn't look right. Controller, slication controller. No, it modified application controller by making it a clearance controller. Okay, that's okay. And change the users model, making it a clearance user. That's so nice. Actually, my first computer was a VIC-20, so the little brother of the C64. Got it in 1984. Attached it to our TV in the living room, and the next thing was I opened the manual that, well, I probably opened it before just to see how it is, how it gets set up. But the next thing the VIC-20 manual went into was basic programming. So I think I more or less started programming from day one, and from there I took the usual career with actually skipping the C64 and getting a C128, then an Amiga, and then I think I bought my first PC, and in 1996 I think I got my first Mac Mini, and I've been using Macs ever since. No, it can't be 1996, 2006. Alright, so we should configure the mailer to use full URLs in the environment setup. Action mailer. It should be your app's domain name. Okay. So in development and test we can change that immediately. Is there already an action mailer section? Yeah, that's everywhere here. Okay. Okay, here we have action mailer default URL options, host localhost 3000. That's okay. I actually remember it was a 6 at the end, so it must have been 2006. One of the early models that looked like a small cookie box. Yeah, that's that, and testing. Action mailer default URL. I guess I should change that to localhost 3000 as well. And in production should be my app's domain name. They didn't recover from the loss of jobs. In which way? And things have certainly changed with the change in command. But that's normal, I guess. It's certainly not limited to Apple. Look at how other companies changed, say Commodore, for example, or IBM. All the bigger tech companies change when they have a new person at the top. Innovation, yeah. Yeah, I see where you're going. Since the iPad, things were more or less incremental, I guess, yeah. Well, the watch was definitely something new. And I do like the watch, actually. I still have an Apple Watch 2nd generation and really like it. It's a nice accessory to the iPhone, I guess. Okay, that's that. Yeah, domain name in production RB. Oh, that's brilliant. That's exactly how I would have done it as well. They take things from an environment variable, and that should be documented, I think, if it's not already in the. No, I've set up the. Oh no, that's not by me. That's actually the suspenders default page. But anyway, let's make a subsection configuration and note that there is an application host variable, host name of the simply because I'll certainly forget that there is an application host variable. Okay, that's that. Then display user session and flashes. Yeah. Let's copy that, and that should go into the application view somewhere. Even though I'll certainly have to... Ooh, that's already separated into flashes and stuff, so I guess I'll insert that here. Take out the flash part. What's the difference here? They do a flash each. And here they have user-facing flashes. Well, that'll certainly go into some kind of navigation bar or something, but not yet. And then we run db migrate. Okay. How do I reformat this file? Okay, it's it's not parsed as HTML, but still I should be able to indent this. Yeah, okay. There we go. That's just my migration though. So far there's no password and stuff, so let's go back to the documentation. Create a migration file that either create a users table adds. Maybe I should try and run that again. Probably because I hadn't run db migrate before. And let's take a look at the initializer file. See, that's very nice to see in green what has changed. Config mailer sender. No reply at example.com. So override any of these defaults. Okay, I guess we can add this before action to our application controller at the top, because the whole application will require logins. So here is the application controller, and we'll add a require login here. Yes, feel free to overwrite this. And now it also has created the migration file. So that should allow us to rake db migrate. And what do you think? Should I split my name attribute into first name and last name? But then again, I'll probably need a middle name as well, because I'd like to be able to address people by their first name. Oh, sorry, Rails, I'm waiting on the migration myself. I just realized my chat box is broken again. That's something strange in OBS. I'll have to look at that later. Should work now. Come on! That's something strange I've also noticed in my last stream, that Docker seems to eat up a lot of resources on my machine here. All 4 cores at max. Not sure what's happening there. Maybe I should do some kind of a factory reset. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's load this, and I'm curious what clearance actually did. So where's the migration? Yeah, encrypted password, confirmation token, and remember token. Nice. Okay. So, okay, still the default page. I don't have any routes so far, so that's why I also don't get any login here. Yeah. I would need to have a root route for slash, and then I'll get the login. But then again, I also need to have some kind of login form. How does that work, by the way? Sign-in path. I guess that's hidden in the clearance gem then, and I will probably be able to override login forms and stuff like that. So let's take a look. Access control. Yeah, it has its own password create and session create forms and things like that. And if I want to change them, I'll simply generate them in my own application. Okay, nice. So I think that's that. And let's go ahead and split the name. Rails generate migration split user names. This is far too slow. But I also see that my memory is eaten up. Could be that the machine is swapping like mad, and I simply don't see it. Let's see what's taking that much memory. My browser, and then VirtualBox with Docker in it. Okay. Okay. So let's shut down another Docker instance. Don't have this one to be running. That should free up a little bit of some memory, at least. Now, we have a no migration. So we'll just use a change table. First name, let's limit everything to 30. Middle name and last name. And then I'll do a T remove. Name. Oh, that's interesting. I have never seen that before. So they actually do some data munging in the migration. That's why they split it in self up and self down. And simply run a bit of SQL here. That's nice. Okay, need to remember that. Okay. So let's run another db migrate. CPU is still running hot, even without me running anything in Docker. Okay. Well, OBS is taking a lot of memory as well. CPU, I mean. Yeah, VirtualBox still eating a lot of memory. Safari eating a lot of memory. And I could quit Discord. Oh, it's not even responding, so maybe that's the reason. Don't need you. Oof. Something's not right. Oh, the applications aren't responding. Looks like a reboot would be in order. Okay, that looks good. So, users now has an email field and then a first name, middle name and last name. Okay, that's looking good actually. Actually, I can't add the login to the application controller because you wouldn't get a login form without having logged in. It doesn't make any sense. So let's go ahead and create controller named start page. Or even home page? Home page. Okay, and here I can add this before action. And in my routes file, I'll add this one as root. Just have to refresh my memory how this is looking. Root 2 and then, okay, wait, root 2, okay. And then I say home page index, right? Mm-hmm. So supported controller name, yeah. I think I need to use the lowercase stuff. Yeah, I need to. It's time I get back into Rails programming. Oh, what am I doing? Don't need to do that. I wanted to refresh the page. Uninitialized constant application controller clearance. Well, that's strange. tries to include the clearance controller. Finally. What's wrong here? This is my first Rails 5 application, so I might need to look up a few things that have changed from 4 to 5. Rails controller. Action controller overview. Thank you, Safari. Controller naming. That's okay. Methods and actions. So do I have an index action in the first place? No, I don't. Well, it's implicit, isn't it? No, but still, I should have an index method. Routing parameters. You've only used Rails 5. Okay, so maybe you can help me out. How do I set my root page? Guides index. Controllers, action controller overview. That's where we are. Rails routing from the outside in. Wait. Using root. That's what I'm looking for. But not where I ended up. Here we go. Root 2 and then controller. Okay. So that should be right. Or I could simply say root page as main. Okay. Why does it say application controller clearance is initialized? Something in clearance doesn't seem to be quite right. Oh wait, application controller clearance. Is this a namespace problem? Application controller clearance. Yep, thought so. Do I need to prefix this with double colons? Solution is simply restarting the server. I actually had thought of that myself. So we can simply go DC stop app. DC is an alias in my shell that executes Docker Compose. You've only used the Rails generator. Yeah, that's the problem. I've been working with existing applications mostly in the past 12 months, and I've never had to set up a new application. And so I'd have to refresh my memory. No, that's not available anymore. There's a new port now. Jupyter app is 773 now. What? Should be running. Argument error. Oh, that's old. Did it actually come back? Yeah. Maybe it hadn't been initialized. Nope. That's not good. It's easier. 32774 no. And it's up. Unexpectedly dropped the connection. Oh, that's really strange. TC logs up. It is up. Okay, here we go. That's better. I think it only took a lot of time to actually bootstrap. Definitely need a reboot now. But that's also a nice point to stop. Found to import not found or unreadable normalized CSS. I'll have to debug that as well, but that's all uninteresting stuff that I do behind the scenes. And with the new project, you'll actually be able to see my bug fixes and stuff in the Git repository, if you are so inclined. Otherwise, I'll see you next time, which is going to be next Tuesday. I'm leaving later for a few days to do a personal retreat, and that'll prevent me from doing a stream on Thursday at the normally scheduled time, because I don't think the hotel Wi-Fi will be good enough to let me live stream, let alone doing it from my laptop. And I have other things on my plate anyway, with a personal retreat. So I'll talk to you again in a week's time. Until then, you will be able to find the recording of this stream on my YouTube channel, which is also new. And please do me the favor and subscribe, because it'll help me get a proper channel URL as well. So I get my youtube.com/fullstacksensei. Follow the Twitter account to get updates. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the Twitch channel, so you get notified when I'm back in a week's time. I think that's it, and so the only thing left is to thank you for being with me for this hour and a half. I'm looking forward to working on this project with you, and so take care. Cheers.